I'm the chair of the Complaint Screening Committee. The time now is 8:32, April 15th, 2020, and I call the meeting of the Complaint Screening Committee of the Arizona Board of Psychological Examiners to order. Roll call, Ms. Michelson? Or Ms. Poe?
Yes, Madam Shreve. Ms. Shreve?
Present.
Dr. Davis-Wilson?
Present.
Dr. Gill?
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Item number 3 on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the regular session minutes of March 18th, 2020? And I believe, Dr. Gill, you're recused from this item. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right.
Excuse me, may I?
I'm sorry. We are now on agenda item number 3 with approval of the minutes. Please hold your comment. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
I second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion is approved. Any opposed? Not hearing none. Motion is approved. All right. There was a comment from somebody. What was the comment?
MP complainant.
Great.
Through my correspondence.
Yes, MP, your item has.
Through
MP,
my correspondence.
MP, your item. We will address you as soon as your item is up on the agenda. So if you would just wait a few minutes, and we have a few things to do first. So item number 4 is.
All right. Well,
item number 4 is case discussion.
Before that, it should be noted.
Sir, I need you to just wait until we get to your item.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, thank you, and then we'll be happy to call and have you make a brief statement. Thank you. And if you're on the line, if you're not a board member, if you could put your phone on mute so we don't get any background noise, and yet when your item is brought up, we will be more than happy to have you participate at the appropriate time. So the Complaint Screening Committee, pursuant to Arizona Revised Statute 32-2081H, may dismiss a complaint appearing on this agenda or refer it to the full board for consideration. Complainants dismissed by the committee shall not be disclosed in response to a telephone inquiry or placed on the board's website pursuant to ARS 32-2081H1. Upon a vote of the majority of the quorum, the committee may go into executive session on any item of the agenda pursuant to ARS 38-431-03A2 to review confidential records, or A3 to receive confidential legal advice from the board's attorney. For those in attendance, please be aware that the chair reserves the right to change the order of the items on the agenda based upon the parties present and request to speak. A person or a representative of a person who has filed or received a complaint and who is present may make a brief statement to the committee by filling out a request to speak form, or I will call on you at the appropriate time. The committee may also have questions for those who speak. This is a very important part of the announcement. Please only use initials for patients and children. Do not use names, only initials. Be aware that the content of many records involved in these complaints is confidential, and the content should not be discussed in public meeting. Be advised that the committee will go into executive session to discuss any confidential records. The first complaint today is item number 20, complaint number 2034 regarding Dr. Janet Macer. Dr. Gill, you're the lead board member. Would you like to provide a summary of the complaint?
Yes, this is Dr. Gill. The summary from the complainant, MP, is the following. Patient was treated by Dr. Messer from 2011 to 2019. He was referred by his primary care doctor. MP reported that he was assaulted on December 31st, 2014 in Los Angeles at a Ford dealership, and he alleges a TBI and a hate crime and reported that he was briefly hospitalized. MP filed a police report and he reported that LAPD and the media, quote, withheld information. MP claimed the basis for his concern was a law called Marcy's Law from California, to victims' right law. Just briefly, it's a law from 2008 that protects and expands legal rights of crime victims in the judicial process, and that requires medical professionals allegedly to a fiduciary obligation to inform authorities when a legally disabled patient is a victim of a hate crime. MP reported that following his alleged TBI, that he suffered from debilitation of physical and mental health conditions. And he pleaded over time for Dr. Messer to notify authorities regarding a cover-up corruption by LAPD and cover-up by the media. Dr. Messer did provide medical records and requests from time to time. MP provided a certified letter sent to Dr. Messer on May the 10th of 2019, highlighting his, quote, concerns about Dr. Messer's serious fiduciary violation, and, quote, she lacked a consideration for my life, unquote, and also said that it was following 7.5 years of treatment. The certified letter also lists MP's fears, anxieties, and the feeling he was being targeted and harassed by political entities and by law enforcement. Quote, I was nearly killed and experienced a life-changing TBI covered up by the media. Quote, case was dismissed for no reason. MP accused Dr. M of a lack of concern, a lack of a response. The letter that Dr. Messer sent to the court, apparently there was a mental health court that was involved here, the details of which were not included. But nevertheless, Dr. Messer sent to the court on 2/6/2019 that this letter was neglected, according to MP. There was an appellate court that was apparently scheduled for May the 15th, 2019, and MP had asked Dr. Messer for a short, brief letter before that court. MP reminded Dr. Messer of her active fiduciary obligations and her, quote, numerous moral and ethical duties. Dr. Messer's response was to indicate that following the TBI, there was no treatment from December of 2014 to September of 2016. MP then moved back to Arizona, and treatment reportedly resumed at that time with Dr. Messer. Initially, MP was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder.
Dr. Gill, can we refrain from articulating on the record any of the diagnoses, please?
Okay. The concerns regarding the mental health conditions, there were concerns about finances, housing, and difficulty with activities of daily living. There was an additional diagnosis performed. I won't indicate it, but that MP did agree with that diagnosis, saying, quote, it sounds like me. Dr. Messer also indicated that the diagnosis does include quite a bit of resistance to treatment because of the complexities of the diagnosis. Dr. Messer also reported that MP filed a lawsuit against people in Los Angeles who, quote, cheated him, another person who rear-ended him in Arizona, and a landlord for evicting him in 2019. Dr. Messer consulted with her attorney regarding MP's mental health issues, And this is when apparently he was referred to mental health court. Dr. Messer helped MP file for disability and did write letters on his behalf, as reported. There were emails that were sent from MP Dr. Messer that were not responded to. Then MP sent a certified letter, as indicated, and Dr. Messer reported that at that time she started to feel fearful. And Dr. Messer at that time did respond to an email. I'll conclude at this point regarding Dr. Messer's response.
Great. Thank you for that summary. The complainant, MP, I believe you're on the line.
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Thank you for being here today. We appreciate that. Sir, if you'd like to provide a brief summary or a brief statement to the board, we have read all of the material that has been supplied by you and by Dr. Messer, but if you'd like to provide any comments.
Well, first of all, thank you very much. I appreciate everyone being here and everyone's time and your attention. Thank you. The issues that are of matter are very relevant to not only, obviously, the well-being and safety of myself, but I think a lot of other disabled and abused and those who have been mistreated. So with that in mind, 3 days ago I spoke to Ms. Michelson and indicated to her, consistent with the explanation the doctor has given, there are a lot of matters relevant to this matter that are progressing in the moment as we speak. A lot of the discovery, a lot of the correspondence relevant to these matters has not had the fair opportunity to be presented simply because of my inability through the results and circumstances of these issues have left me homeless and very much, as spoken on the record, debilitated on numerous accounts. And so what I would ask is that, consistent with counsel and my ability to be represented by counsel fairly, and the opportunity for more and rightful discovery to be provided to the court, I would ask that the meeting be adjourned to a future time so that proper discovery can be granted.
Members of the committee, this is Jean Galvin. It appears that the complainant is seeking a continuance of this matter, and if I understood him correctly, it is for the purpose to allow discovery. Discovery is not permissible at this committee level, and that should be one thing that you consider in whether to grant his request for continuance.
Thank you. Do we need to have a discussion on that?
I would rule on his motion, his verbal motion.
So, board members, what we have is a motion, a verbal motion from MP for continuance based on discovery, although discovery, as mentioned by our attorney, is not part of this process. Is there any discussion? Members, is there a motion? I don't see a need at this point to allow for a continuance. This is a complaint.
Well, I don't have counsel, ma'am.
This isn't.
And that's not fair.
Mr. MP, this is Jean Galvin. I'm an attorney, assistant attorney general, and I represent the board. Whether you have counsel is up to you. The board, this is not a criminal proceeding. The board is not obligated to provide you legal counsel.
So, board members, we have a matter.
If I could reply to that, I am just going from what Ms. Michelson had told me the other day. She said that if I provide a request to the board prior to the meeting adjourning, that there should not be any issues in providing that so that proper discovery could be made. I am merely reciting what Ms. Michelson told me 3 days ago, ma'am. Thank you.
Well, what we have is a motion in front of us. So, board members, I'm going to ask that we need to decide on the motion request for continuance. My feeling is we do not. We continue with this case as it is in front of us. Is there any discussion or thoughts from the other two committee members?
This is Dr. Gill. I don't see the need for continuance.
All right. So is there a motion? Are you making a motion, Dr. Gill, that we deny the request for continuance?
I move that we deny the request for continuance.
Is there a second? This is just for the board members at this point. We're deliberating and making a decision. So, Dr. Davis-Wilson, did you have something to say?
I seconded the motion.
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion with the board members? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none. We'll move forward with the case. So, MP, do you have any other comments and you want to in regards to the facts of the case?
Well, I've had very little time to produce the documents necessary simply because of all of the other relevant circumstances to this matter. I spoke to Ms. Michelson just days ago and explained to her the circumstances, and she said to me very directly, "Sir, it will not be a problem. All you need to do is present to the board prior to the meeting starting that there are numerous examples of discovery to be made, and they should have no problem granting you an extension so that that discovery can be made." It's totally unfair. The process is totally unfair, and it is totally in opposition to the designed purpose of helping those in need. We can create any rules to...
Sir,
I'm not going to continue.
Sir, if you'd like to provide... What we have is the information you provide. You provided us. We've all read it. And so the way the procedures work is this is the time for you to then explain factually what your concerns were. And that's so, or you cannot, or it's your opportunity not to do that. And then if the board has any questions of you, the board members can ask questions. So again, I ask, do you have anything you would like to say in regards to the complaint that you have submitted to the board? We've read your complaint.
I think it's very sad that everybody else who has representation is provided that except the person who really needs it. I will have to continue because seemingly my requests are being denied, which is very sad. However, the accusations and the statements in the complaint are accurate, and we shall continue as follows, and these matters will be addressed at a later time.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, MP. Board members, are there any questions for MP? All right, hearing none. Thank you, MP, for your comments. I do believe Dr. Macer and her attorney, Mr. Hoover, are on the phone. Is that correct?
Yes, good morning. This is Charlie Hoover, and Dr. Messer is online with us.
Great, thank you. Would you, if you could both introduce yourselves, and then if one of you or both want to make a short statement to the board.
Well, I'm Dr. Messer, and I think I'd prefer that Mr. Hoover make a short presentation, but I am here and available to answer questions.
All right, thank you. Mr. Hoover?
Yes, thank you. Good morning. I would like to compliment the staff on putting together the summary in the investigative report. I think it highlights exactly what the issues are in this matter. I thank Dr. Gill for his review and his recitation. Make one minor correction there. Dr. Gill had stated that Dr. Messer had conferred with her counsel in regard to some issues that resulted in the mental health court order. I would say that Dr. Messer worked in conjunction with MP's attorney, who had requested information from her, and where it was appropriate and as she could be helpful, she provided that information to him in that regard. And this kind of dovetails into the foundation of the complaint. It does not appear that there's any complaint as to the actual care and treatment provided by Dr. Messer to MP. Rather, it appears that MP is concerned that in the broader societal issues that he was confronting, that Dr. Messer did not, to some extent, intuit this and intercede in various court proceedings in California. She did not really know of anything going on in California for the 2 years that MP was involved and over there. Upon his return, he recounted his issues and asked for her help in certain occasions, and when she was able to do that and within appropriate ethical boundaries, she was able to provide assistance and help when requested. So what we have here, I think, is a complaint that Dr. Messer did not involve herself in Mr. or MP's battles with police or the court system beyond what she was specifically directed to do and given information for. So I think what we have here is a situation which might skirt even this board's jurisdiction to get into the matter, in that it does not appear to involve the care and treatment, but rather some other perceived duty to interject herself into the legal proceedings and processes that MP was going through at the time. We believe that the evidence Dr. Messer provided, her records, and the balance of the complaint indicate that Dr. Messer has performed to standard, and that there is no reason to move the matter forward. And we would ask that it be dismissed at this level. And Dr. Messer is available for any questions that the board may have, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
May I interject, please?
No. This is a time the board is focusing right now on Dr. Messler. Board members, do you have any questions for Dr. Messler? Dr. Messler, I do have a question. It does appear he had concerns about not getting involved in some of the court cases or the police situation. Can you just explain your rationale as a psychologist of what your boundaries were?
Well, I saw MP from March of 2011 to June of 2014. June of 2014. Then he moved to LA for 2.5 years. And the next time I saw him was in September of 2016. Well, I don't really know how long he was in LA, but I know I didn't see him till June of September of 2016. And that was when he asked for an appointment, being back in town, and told me about all of these assaults and things that happened in California. He showed me photographs, police reports, etc. Now, these things had happened nearly 2 years before, when we weren't in contact, then certainly weren't in treatment. And, I felt bad for him, but he never asked me to get involved with courts, and it seemed way beyond my boundaries as a psychologist. to do that. So that's what I know about it. He did make a website and post these reports and photographs on it and asked me to look at it, and I did. But no, he never asked me to get involved in it.
Those statements are
the thing I got involved in.
MP, Doctor, I'm sorry. Let me interrupt for a second. Number one, could you everybody put your phone on mute if you're not speaking? And MP, this is a time for us to talk to the doctor and to get information from her. So please refrain from making any comments. I'd appreciate it. MP, did you know?
I can just make one statement.
No, not at this point. I'm talking to Dr.
Comments
Macer.
from the attorney and the doctor are not factual.
Dr. Macer, did you have any, if I'm understanding what you're saying, the time that he talked about the attacks and the issues were not when he was your client, but when he was in California. Is that correct?
Correct.
So your information was from what he has told you thereafter.
Right. He came back September of 2016 and told me about it, yes.
All right. Thank you. Other board members, do you have any questions for Dr. Macer? All right. Hearing none, we're now going to move into what's called deliberations. And please note the deliberations is a time for the committee members to deliberate the case among themselves without interruptions from the complainants, licensee, or attorneys representing the licensee. Dr. Gill, you were the lead. Would you like to start the deliberations?
Well, I think I want to communicate my understanding of the narrative of this case. My understanding is that there are no complaints about the treatment that MP received. The complaints seem to be based upon a law in California that maybe our attorney can comment on that, and whether we even have the jurisdiction to determine whether that law applies in Arizona, much less applies to Dr. Messer. And does it apply to create any obligations on her part that are implied in the complaint? Some clarification of that would be appreciated.
It does not apply to Dr. Messer.
Yes, yeah, it does. Does this law? It's a California law.
It does not apply in this case.
Dr. Gill, Ms. Galvin's going to answer your question. Ms. Galvin.
Yes, it does not apply in this case, Dr. Gill.
Okay. So, I mean, should I then conclude that the complaint has no merit legally?
I guess if I could jump in, Dr. Gill, with my comments. Do you?
Yes.
Looking at the case, it appears as though there is no complaint regarding, care and treatment of the client. That it's more of I guess the client was more concerned with a law that's in California that doesn't pertain to this doctor, and the issues that he was concerned about did not occur under her therapy or being a client at that time. And so I do not see any type of a violation of any of our statutes or rules, and my thoughts would be the case would be dismissed.
Well,
that would be unconstitutional.
This is Dr. Gill again. It does appear that Dr. Messer has stated that she defended her behaviors regarding the fact that there were issues of confidentiality, and she had limits of disclosures to what she, what she was asked to do on her patient's behalf, and And she also argued that there were boundaries inherent in the psychotherapeutic process that supports her position. And that's all I'll say.
So is there a motion? So Dr. Davis-Wilson, do you have any comments? If not, is there a motion?
I move that we dismiss
I'll make the motion to dismiss the complaint.
So I think
I'll second it.
I think I heard Dr. Gill first saying he's making a motion to dismiss. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
So we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none. The case is dismissed. We are now going to move.
That was a travesty. That was a travesty of justice, and you people are unconstitutional, and this matter will be held at a higher level of court. I have not been heard. The documentation has not been provided. The discovery has not been provided, and there will be more addressed in a future matter. This is unconstitutional, and all of you should be ashamed of yourselves.
Thank you, MP. The next matter has been called.
We're now moving on
Thank
to
you all.
Complaint 2035, Dr. Surratt Zachariah. I am the lead complaint. I am the lead board member on this case. I have my notes here.
Criminal activity.
All right.
Criminal corruption.
We have moved on to the next case. Ms. MP, please.
Thank you. I think I've made my point. You'll hear me in the media. Thank you very much.